When I walked into that dining room, pretending to be a broke and naive old woman, I didn't do it to fool anyone. I did it to find out who truly deserved my son. If you are watching this video, tell me where are you from, or what time is it for you. The chandelier above me glittered, but the warmth in the room was cold. My son's fiancée's family, the Carters, were seated like judges in a quiet courtroom. Their smiles were polite, but their eyes, they were measuring me. "Mrs. Thompson, right?" her mother asked, her voice wrapped in sugar but sharp underneath. "Yes, just call me Ruth," I said gently. "I don't like formality." I'd worn an old floral dress, simple shoes, and the same purse I'd used for 20 years. No jewelry, no watch, no sign of the money I'd worked my whole life to earn. Because I wasn't there as a wealthy businesswoman. I was there as the mother of the man they thought they were marrying into. The moment I sat down, their daughter, Emily, smiled wide. "We're so happy to finally meet you," she said. Her smile was perfect, like a photograph, but something about her eyes told me she was saying what she'd rehearsed. "I'm happy, too," I replied softly. "I've heard a lot about your family." Her father chuckled. "Oh, I'm sure you have. We're humble people, but we do believe in standards." I nodded, pretending not to notice the way he looked at my worn-out shoes. Of course, standards are important. The dinner began with small talk. Weather, hobbies, travel. I spoke little, just listened. That's when I learned how people treat you when they think you have nothing to give. Emily's mother leaned toward me. "So, Ruth, what do you do?" I smiled faintly. "I used to clean houses. Retired now." Her eyebrows rose just a little. "Oh, how practical." I caught the glance she exchanged with her husband. Quick, quiet, cruel. My son Daniel didn't know what I was doing. I told him I wanted to meet them alone first. Just mother to mother. He thought it was my way of bonding. But the truth was simpler. I'd heard too many stories of girls who marry for comfort, not for love. And Daniel, my sweet Daniel, had a heart that loved too easily. When Emily entered his life, I wanted to believe she loved him. But something in her words always felt rehearsed, like she was playing a role. So I decided to play one too. Halfway through dinner, Emily's father started boasting about their upcoming country club membership. "Of course," he said, "Daniel will have to adjust to a certain lifestyle. We're not extravagant, but we do appreciate class." I laughed softly. "And what if Daniel doesn't want that?" He blinked. "Well, every man wants to move. Up, doesn't he?" I set my fork down slowly. "Moving up isn't always about tables or titles, Mr. Carter. Sometimes it's about peace." He smiled thinly. "Peace doesn't pay the bills, Mrs. Thompson." I met his eyes. "Neither does pride." For a moment, no one spoke. Emily shifted in her seat, pretending to check her phone. Her mother sipped wine like it could drown discomfort. I'd learned long ago. Truth makes fancy people nervous. When dessert came, I offered to help clear the plates. Emily's mother laughed softly. "Oh, don't worry, dear. We have someone for that." I smiled. "So did I once." She looked confused. "I thought you said you cleaned houses." I nodded. "I did. My own. After my husband died, I cleaned every corner so I wouldn't have to hear the silence." The room went quiet again. Not the polite kind, the uncomfortable kind. Emily's father changed the subject quickly. "So, Ruth, where does Daniel get his ambition? You must have raised him well." I folded my hands. "I raised him with honesty, Mr. Carter. Ambition was his own invention." He forced a smile. You must be very proud." "I am," I said. "But I hope he's proud of who he marries, too." That made Emily's cheeks flush. "Of course he is," she said quickly. "We love each other." I tilted my head. Love, that's a word people use easily when they've never had to prove it. After dinner, Emily offered to show me her room upstairs, her personal space. I followed her, studying every detail. The perfume bottles, the designer bags, the way her closet looked like it had never known restraint. She sat on the edge of her bed. "I hope you liked my parents," she said. "They're interesting," I replied. "I know they can seem a bit proud," she said with a nervous laugh. "But they mean well. They just want the best for me." "And Daniel?" I asked quietly. "Do you want what's best for him?" Her eyes flickered. "Of course. He deserves the best, even if that best isn't you?" I asked softly. Her expression stiffened. "Why would you say that?" I smiled kindly. "Because love isn't a performance, dear. You can fool me with charm, but you can't fool time." She crossed her arms. "Daniel loves me." "I know," I said. "That's why I'm here. To make sure you love him back, not just the version of him you imagine." Downstairs, as I prepared to leave, Emily's mother handed me a gift bag. "Just a little something," she said sweetly. "Hand cream. You said you used to clean, so we thought it might help your hands." I took the bag, smiled, and said, "Thank you." But as I looked her in the eye, I saw what she was really saying. "You're not our kind of people." I walked out quietly, the night air cool against my face. The bag felt heavy, though it weighed almost nothing. When I got home, I placed the hand cream on my table and stared at it. The label said for rough, tired hands. I smiled sadly. "Oh, darling," I whispered to no one. "You have no idea what these hands have built." A week later, Daniel called. "Mom, the Carters invited you to the engagement dinner. They really liked you." "Did they?" I asked softly. "Yeah. Emily said you were sweet and humble." I chuckled. "That's one way to say it. Mom, promise me you'll come?" "I'll be there," I said. "But this time I might wear something different." He laughed. "Good. Maybe they'll see where I get my looks. If only he knew." That night I opened my old wardrobe and ran my fingers over a velvet box hidden inside. Inside it lay a gold pendant, a small, quiet symbol of who I really was. Not the cleaner they saw, but the woman who'd built a company from nothing, who'd paid for her son's dreams without ever asking for credit. I looked in the mirror. "Time to meet them again," I whispered, but this time as myself. The night of the engagement dinner, I stood before my mirror and fastened my late husband's watch around my wrist. It had been years since I'd worn it. A small gold timepiece that ticked like a reminder. Know your worth, but never shout. I didn't change who I was. I simply stopped pretending to be smaller than I am. If you are watching this video, tell me where are you from or what time it is for you. I wore a dark blue dress, the same color as Daniel's eyes when he was born. My hair, silver and neat. My heart, steady, but sharp. I wasn't there to embarrass anyone. I was there to remind a family that kindness has nothing to do with bank accounts. When I arrived at the Carter estate, the valet reached for my keys and froze when he saw the car. A quiet, silver sedan. Elegant but unmistakably expensive. Inside the foyer, the chandeliers sparkled again. But tonight, I didn't feel small beneath them. Emily's mother saw me first. Her polite smile wavered for just a second. "Mrs. Thompson," she said, "you look lovely." "Thank you," I replied gently. "And please, call me Ruth." Emily's father offered his hand. "Good evening. I must say, you've surprised us." "How so?" I asked. He cleared his throat. Well, we didn't expect." "A dress?" I teased. "Or that a woman who cleaned her own house might also own a few nice things." He laughed, a little too loudly. Yes, well, people often reveal themselves when they're trying not to." Daniel appeared then, radiant, proud, the boy who still looked at me like I hung the moon. "Mom, you look amazing," I smiled. "So do you, sweetheart." He kissed my cheek. "I'm glad you came." "I wouldn't miss it for the world." Emily approached, her eyes scanning me up and down, her smile polite but tight. "You look wonderful, Ruth. Very different." "Thank you, dear. I suppose it's easier to look polished when you're not pretending to be poor." Her smile froze. "Excuse me?" I leaned close and whispered. "Don't worry. You'll understand soon." Dinner was grand. Crystal glasses, silver plates, the kind of meal where conversation feels staged. They'd invited friends, business partners, even a few socialites, from the club. I sat quietly at first, listening, watching. Then, halfway through the main course, Emily's father raised his glass. "To family," he said, "and to the promising union between our daughter and Daniel, a fine young man who will soon join us in managing our firm's logistics branch." Daniel looked confused. "Wait, managing your branch?" "Yes, son." The man beamed. "A little family favor. After all, Emily tells us you're still finding your footing." My son shifted uncomfortably. "I have a job I love." The father chuckled. "Of course, but surely you'd prefer a proper position. We're all family now." I placed my fork down. "Forgive me," I said softly. "What kind of proper position would that be?" He smiled condescendingly. "Oh, something stable, clerical. Not too demanding." I turned to Daniel. "You have a master's degree in finance, don't you?" "Yes, Mom." "And the Carter firm, what does it turn over annually?" Emily's father blinked. "Pardon?" "Revenue," I said. "You mentioned your logistics branch. What's the annual figure?" He laughed nervously. "Well, around 3 million. "Ah." I smiled. "Then you might be interested to know Daniel manages 48 million in assets at my company." Silence. The clinking of cutlery stopped. "My company?" he repeated. "Yes." I folded my hands calmly. "Thompson and Mayfield Holdings. I built it after my husband passed. We provide funding for small businesses across the state." Emily's mother's wine glass slipped slightly in her fingers. I had no idea." "You weren't supposed to," I said kindly. "I came here as a mother, not an investor." The room fell utterly still. Then Emily whispered, "So, that story about cleaning houses." "True," I said. "I cleaned plenty. Boardrooms, offices, the dust off men who doubted me." Someone stifled a laugh at the far end of the table. I continued. "You see, I've learned that money only changes 2 things: who people listen to and who they pretend to be polite to. Everything else stays the same." Emily's father cleared his throat. "Well, Mrs. Thompson, this is quite surprising. I hope you didn't take offense to being treated like a maid." I smiled. "No offense taken, I was one once. But I did notice how quickly your tone changed when you thought I had something to give." Emily looked down, shame coloring her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have told them to be nicer." I reached across the table and touched her hand. "You don't ask people to be kind, dear. Kindness that needs permission isn't real." Daniel sat speechless, his eyes wide. "Mom, you planned this?" I turned to him gently. "No, son. I hoped I wouldn't need to. But I had to see whether love was still love when there was no advantage in it." He nodded slowly, understanding dawning. Emily whispered, "I do love you, Daniel. I swear I do." He reached for her hand. "I know. But now you'll have to prove it. Not to my mother, but to yourself." Her tears came quietly. "I will." After dinner, while the guests drifted toward the music room, Emily's mother approached me. "You taught us something tonight," she said, her voice lower, humbler. "Did I?" "Yes. That pretending to be better than others makes you smaller than you think." I smiled softly. "Then it was worth the awkwardness." She hesitated. "If I may, why didn't you tell us who you were?" I looked around the grand hall and said, "Because if I walk into a room rich, I'll only ever know how people treat wealth. But if I walk in poor, I learn how they treat people." Her eyes glistened. She whispered, "You're wiser than we deserved." "Maybe," I said, "but you can still earn it." When I left that night, Daniel hugged me tight. "You always see what I can't." "That's what mothers do," I whispered. "We spot storms before our children see clouds." As I drove away, I caught a glimpse of Emily standing at the doorway, watching me. She wasn't smiling, but she wasn't faking one either, and that gave me hope. That night, for the first time, I believed that truth, even when uncomfortable, is the best wedding gift a mother can give. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of rain tapping softly against the window. There's something about rain that feels like forgiveness, quiet, steady, and without announcement. If you're watching this video, tell me where are you from, or what time is it for you? I made my tea, sat on the porch, and tried not to think about last night. But the truth doesn't let you rest right away. It lingers, like perfume or guilt. A knock came at the door. When I opened it, I saw Emily. Her hair was soaked, mascara smudged, eyes red from crying. "Can I come in?" she asked. "Of course, dear," I said softly. "Sit down before you catch a cold." She stood there in silence for a few seconds before blurting, "You were right about everything. I was awful." I handed her a towel. "Sit, Emily. Let's start with tea, not tears." When she finally spoke, her words came in fragments. "I judged you the second I saw you. I thought you were simple, poor. Someone I had to impress, not respect." She wiped her face. "I didn't realize you were testing me." "I wasn't testing you," I said. "I was watching. There's a difference." She looked up. "Why didn't you tell Daniel who you really are?" I smiled faintly. "Because Daniel loves people, not possessions. And I needed to know if the woman he chose loved him the same way." Emily lowered her head. "I do love him, Mrs. Thompson. I really do." "I know," I said gently. "But love is more than saying yes to a man. It's saying no to your own pride." Her voice broke. "I hurt you. I hurt him too." "You did," I said softly. "But pain has a purpose. It reveals who's willing to grow." She looked around my living room. Simple, clean, filled with photographs of Daniel's childhood. Her eyes lingered on one frame. Daniel at 10, holding a small wooden car he'd built himself. "Did he make that?" she asked. Yes. I smiled. With his father. That was the day he learned how to fail and try again. She smiled weakly. I think I'm learning that now. I reached over and touched her hand. Good. Because no one builds a real marriage without failing a little first. We sat together for nearly an hour, mostly in silence. Before leaving, she said quietly, "Would you come with me to pick out my wedding dress?" That took me by surprise. Me? I chuckled. I'm not exactly a fashion icon. She smiled through tears. You're the only one I trust to tell me the truth. The next afternoon, we stood in a bridal boutique surrounded by white lace and nervous laughter. Emily tried on dress after dress, but nothing felt right. Finally, she came out wearing a simple gown, soft fabric, long sleeves, no glitter, no jewels, just elegance that breathed honesty. When she turned toward me, her eyes were unsure. "What do you think?" I stood and walked closer. "It's perfect." "Really?" "Yes," I said, "because you finally look like yourself, not like who the world told you to be." Her eyes filled again. "Thank you." The wedding came 3 months later. It was small, peaceful, and held in the garden behind my house, not in a hall of glass and chandeliers. I told Daniel I wanted him married where he once learned to walk barefoot. As the guests arrived, I saw the Carters looking different, quieter, humbler. Emily's mother approached me, holding a bouquet. "You were right," she said. "Money buys comfort, but not character." I smiled. We all forget that sometimes. When the music began, Emily walked down the aisle on her father's arm, her eyes finding mine halfway. She smiled, not the perfect one she used to wear, but a real human one that trembled slightly. When she reached Daniel, he took her hands and whispered, "You're my peace." She whispered back, "You're my truth." For the first time, in months, I didn't feel like an observer. I felt like a mother again. After the ceremony, while guests were busy with cake and laughter, Emily came to me. "I have something for you," she said, handing me a small white envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. "Mrs. Thompson, you taught me what kind of woman I want to be. Not polished, but honest. I know I can't erase how I treated you that day, but I promise that your son will never feel unloved under my roof. Thank you for showing me that love without humility is just vanity with better lighting. Your daughter, Emily." I folded the letter and held it to my heart. "You already made me proud," I whispered. Later that night, when the last guest had left and the lights had dimmed, I sat alone in the garden. The wind carried laughter from the house. Daniel's voice, Emily's soft reply. I looked up, at the stars, and spoke quietly to my late husband. We did good, didn't we? He found someone who needed to learn love the hard way. The way we did. A single rose petal drifted down from the bush beside me. I smiled, knowing he'd heard me. The next morning, Daniel and Emily came by before leaving for their honeymoon. Emily hugged me tightly. "I'll take care of him," she whispered. "And he'll take care of you," I said. "That's how it works." "Love isn't a prize, it's a partnership," Daniel kissed my forehead. "You always find the truth, Mom." I smiled. That's what old eyes are for, seeing what young hearts can't. They drove away, sunlight following them down the road. Inside the quiet house, I opened Emily's letter once more. The paper was slightly wrinkled, and her words uneven, like a heart learning to write for the first time. I placed it in my drawer next to my husband's watch and whispered, "Another test passed. 5 years passed faster than I ever imagined. The house grew quieter, yet somehow fuller, with framed photos, baby giggles echoing through phone calls, and the kind of peace that doesn't make noise. If you're watching this video, tell me, where are you from, or what time it is for you? Daniel and Emily had a little girl, Lily, and from the moment I saw her, I knew my son had finally built the life I prayed for. Her eyes had Emily's spark, but my Daniel's patience. Every time she laughed, I could hear 2 generations healing in one sound. Emily became everything I once hoped she would. Not perfect, but real. She still burned the first batch of pancakes. Every Sunday, still worried too much about small things. Still called me when Lily sneezed twice in a row. But now she did it with humility, not pride. One morning she came by alone, carrying a basket of muffins and a stack of papers. "Still feeding the world?" I teased. She laughed. "Trying to. Daniel says I bake when I feel guilty." "And what's the guilt for today?" She took a breath. "We're moving, Ruth. Just across town. Bigger place. Closer to Daniel's work. I wanted to tell you first." I nodded. "That's wonderful, though I'll miss seeing Lily chasing your poor cat across my porch." "She'll still visit every week," Emily promised. "You're her favorite person." I smiled. "Good. Then I must be doing something right." The move happened in summer. Daniel and I helped them pack. Books, toys, memories, while Lily ran around with a cardboard crown declaring herself Queen of Boxes. At the end of the day, Emily sat on the floor, sweaty and tired, and said, "I wish my mom were here to see this." I placed a hand on her shoulder. "She'd be proud." She shook her head. "I treated her the way I treated you at first. Like her value was measured in Polish, not love. I never got to say sorry." "Then say it through how you live," I whispered. "That's what forgiveness really is. Turning regret into gentleness." Her eyes glistened. "I learned that from you." A year later, my health began to slip. Nothing dramatic, just the kind of quiet slowing that comes with years and secrets kept too long. One afternoon, I fainted in the kitchen. When I woke up, Emily was there, holding my hand. "You scared us," she said. "I scared myself." I smiled weakly. "The floor came up too fast." She laughed through tears. "Don't joke about that. You're staying with us until you're better." "I can manage." "No," she said firmly. "You've spent your life taking care of everyone else. It's our turn now." And just like that, the woman who once judged my shoes now tucked a blanket around my shoulders like a daughter. Their house felt alive. Children's drawings on the fridge, toys on the carpet, Daniel humming in the kitchen. Lily climbed into my lap and said, "Grandma, when I grow up, I want to be wise like you." I laughed softly. "Then start by listening more than you talk," she grinned. "That's hard." It was for me too. Later that evening, Emily brought me tea and sat beside me. "I found something when we moved," she said, handing me a small box. Inside was my husband's watch, the one I'd given to Daniel years ago. "He wanted you to have it back," she said. "He said you're the one who still keeps time for all of us." I ran my fingers over the cool metal, my throat tightening. "This watch has heard every heartbeat that mattered," I whispered. Emily leaned her head on my shoulder. "You taught me what real wealth is. It's not what's in the bank. It's who waits at your bedside." I smiled through tears. "Then I'm the richest woman alive." Months later, I hosted a family dinner, the first in years. Daniel grilled outside, Lily chased bubbles, Emily set the table. As the sun went down, I looked around that garden. the same one where Daniel and Emily had been married, and thought of how everything had come full circle. Emily raised her glass. "To Ruth," she said softly, "for teaching us that truth without love is cruelty, and love without truth is blindness." I laughed. "And to you, my dear, for proving I was wrong about you in all the best ways." After dinner, while everyone was cleaning up, I slipped away to my room and took out a letter I'd written months before. It began simply, "To my family, if you are reading this, it means I have joined your father among the stars. Don't cry for me. I've lived long enough to see my son become a good man, and my daughter-in-law become the daughter I didn't know I needed. Remember, wealth fades, youth fades, but kindness, true kindness, grows stronger every year. Keep the porch light on. Love always finds its way home. Mom." I sealed the letter and tucked it into the drawer beside the watch. A year later, when I finally left this world quietly in my sleep, Daniel found that letter. Emily read it aloud, her voice breaking but steady. When she finished, she placed the letter in Lily's hands and said, "That's your inheritance. Not gold, not land, but wisdom." Lily nodded solemnly. "We'll keep the porch light on." That night, as the family sat together under the soft glow of that very porch light, Emily whispered, "She tested us once by pretending to be poor. Turns out she was the richest of us all." And in that glow, they understood. Tests aren't meant to shame. They're meant to reveal what love still hides.